welcome back to our channel. The year was 1978, and America was standing at a curious intersection of its cultural and political journey. The country was inching out of the shadows of Vietnam and Watergate, embracing the swelling momentum of change that the 1980s would soon bring. It was a time of rotary phones and disco balls, gas lines and grassroots movements, where the nation was redefining itself in every possible way. Amidst this backdrop of shifting ideologies and fast-evolving lifestyles, a simple coin began its journey into the pockets and palms of millions of Americans, the 1978 United States quarter dollar. To most, it was just a coin, a piece of change to slip into a vending machine, use at a payphone, or drop into a parking meter. But to numismatists and history enthusiasts, the 1978 quarter held a story that stretched far beyond its modest 25-cent face value. This small silver-hued disc encapsulated the craftsmanship of the U.S. Mint, the evolving design aesthetics of American coinage, and the quiet potential for profound rarity. It represented a moment frozen in time, one that could be held, flipped, and passed from generation to generation. The obverse of the 1978 quarter carried the iconic profile of George Washington, as it had since 1932. Sculpted by John Flanagan, the design was originally meant to commemorate the 200th anniversary of Washington's birth. By 1978, this portrait had become an enduring image on American currency, Washington's gaze fixed forward, his expression solemn and resolute. Above him arched the word "Liberty," while the motto, "In God We Trust," rested to his left. Below, the year, 1978, was delicately inscribed, anchoring the coin in its specific historical moment. This image of Washington was more than a mere profile. It was a declaration of the country's roots and ideals. The man who led the Continental Army, presided over the Constitutional Convention, and became the first president of the United States continued to command reverence nearly 2 centuries after his passing. His presence on the quarter offered continuity, a familiar symbol in an era of social upheaval and technological innovation. Flip the coin, and the reverse side revealed a bold eagle, wings spread in a posture of strength, its talons clutching a bundle of arrows, a symbol of readiness and power. Beneath the eagle lay 2 olive branches, signifying a desire for peace even amidst preparedness. The inscriptions, "United States of America," and "quarter dollar," crowned and grounded the imagery, with the enduring national motto, "E pluribus unum," floating just above the eagle's head. This imagery spoke volumes. It balanced the assertiveness of defense with the yearning for diplomacy, echoing the nation's own stance during a complex time in international relations. With the Cold War still looming, and domestic debates about America's global role, the symbolism on the quarter's reverse was both subtle and potent. The 1978 quarter was minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia and Denver mints produced circulation strikes, while the San Francisco mint issued proof versions. Over 521 million quarters were struck in Philadelphia, no mint mark, nearly 300 million in Denver, with a D mint mark, and over 3 million proof coins in San Francisco, bearing an S mint mark. With such high mintage numbers, one might assume that rarity was out of the question. But the story of the 1978 quarter is one of nuance. Not all coins are created equal. In any large minting run, subtle deviations, be they in pressure, planchet quality, die condition, or timing, can create anomalies. These anomalies, or mint errors, turn a common coin into a treasured rarity. For the 1978 quarter, several such anomalies have been recorded over the years: off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, and coins struck on the wrong planchet altogether. These irregularities, often discarded by the general public, became prized finds for the watchful collector. There are even instances of quarters struck on foreign coin blanks, intended for other nations but mistakenly used at U.S. facilities. Such mistakes are exceedingly rare and highly sought after. For collectors, discovering one of these peculiar errors is akin to striking gold. Consider the experience of a schoolteacher in Missouri, who in the late 1990s stumbled upon an odd-looking quarter while giving change at a book fair. The coin felt different in her hand, its surface more vibrant, its strike unusually sharp. She set it aside. Years later, her curiosity led her to a local coin dealer, who recognized it as a rare 1978 quarter struck on a foreign planchet, resulting in a slightly smaller and lighter coin with a unique coloration. It would later grade as mint state, preserving its nearly flawless surface and confirming its extraordinary nature. beyond mint errors, condition alone plays a monumental role in determining value. Most coins from 1978, having spent decades in circulation, show signs of wear, smoothed features, dulled luster, scratches and dings from years of handling. However, a tiny fraction avoided this fate. These coins, often stored immediately after minting, remained untouched, maintaining their original brilliance, the shimmering silver tone that only freshly minted clad coins can reflect. Graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, these near-perfect specimens receive grades like MS67, MS68, and occasionally MS69. Each incremental improvement in grade signifies a major leap in quality and scarcity. For collectors, finding a 1978 quarter in MS68 or better is akin to uncovering a gem in a sea of gravel. These coins exhibit sharp details, radiant luster, and a pristine surface unmarred by even the faintest blemish. Numismatics is not just about metal and minting. It's about stories. It's about people who find meaning in history, who connect the past to the present through the artistry of coinage. It's the tale of a young boy in Arizona who started collecting coins with his grandfather, who cherished a 1978 D quarter they found together in a roll of change. To them, it was never about the money, it was about the moments shared, the quiet awe of discovery. That single quarter became a touchstone for memories, a symbol of their bond. Over time, the market for 1978 quarters has evolved. What was once overlooked as a common coin has slowly gained appreciation among dedicated collectors and specialists. Auction records reveal a steady rise in prices for top-grade specimens and rare error varieties. Collectors began to compete for the finest examples, driving up demand and heightening the allure of the 1978 quarter. This shift in perception reflects a broader truth in the world of collecting. Rarity is not always about low mintage, it's about condition, anomaly, and the unfolding narrative that surrounds each piece. As more collectors recognize the hidden gems within modern coinage, coins like the 1978 quarter stand out not just for their age, but for their excellence and uniqueness. And now, the story reaches its pinnacle. Today, one such specimen, preserved in immaculate condition, its details razor-sharp, its surface gleaming with untouched luster, has astonished collectors and investors alike. Authenticated and graded at the highest level, this remarkable 1978 quarter has been valued at an extraordinary $148,000. From a time of disco and change, from the machines of the mint to the velvet trays of collectors, this coin has journeyed far. It is no longer just a quarter. It is a testament to history, rarity, and the enduring magic of discovery. The year was 1983, a time when America was firmly in the grip of transformation. Ronald Reagan was in his first term as president, the economy was recovering from a brutal recession, and the Cold War was simmering under the surface. MTV was changing the way music was experienced, compact discs were just emerging, and technology was inching closer to the homes of average Americans. Amid all of this, coins were being exchanged across the country in parking meters, soda machines, and corner stores. One such coin, the 1983 United States quarter dollar, was quietly entering circulation, unaware that one day, a single pristine example of its kind would be worth a staggering $140,000. To the naked eye, the 1983 quarter looked much like any other. Measuring 24.3 mm in diameter, made from a clad composition of copper and nickel, it bore the same imagery that had adorned the quarter since 1932. On the obverse, the noble profile of George Washington, sculpted by John Flanagan, stared with unwavering conviction into the future. Above his head, the word Liberty curved gracefully. To his left, in dignified typeface, appeared the words, In God We Trust, and below, anchoring the design in time, the date, 1983. The reverse told its own story. An eagle, wings outstretched in a bold display of strength, clutched a bundle of arrows. Beneath it, two olive branches offered the hope of peace. Above the bird, the words, United States of America, fanned out in an arch, and just below that, in smaller print, the nation's motto, E Pluribus Unum. At the base, the denomination, quarter dollar. To most who held this coin, it was merely a means of exchange, a quarter to toss into an arcade machine or add to a pile for laundry. But for those who looked closer, who understood the nuances of coinage, the 1983 quarter was anything but ordinary. The 1983 quarter was minted in two primary locations, Philadelphia and Denver. Notably, no proof coins were produced in San Francisco for this year, part of a brief hiatus in the production of proof sets. This detail alone gave the 1983 coins a certain mystique. Over 673 million quarters were struck in Philadelphia, and over 617 million in Denver. But despite these high mintage numbers, the survival of high-quality examples, particularly those with exceptional luster and sharp strikes, was shockingly low. Why? The answer lies in the mint's production environment of the early 1980s. Budget cuts and increased demand meant coins were churned out with less attention to precision. Dies were overused. Planchets were handled roughly. As a result, the typical 1983 quarter was often born into circulation already showing signs of wear, soft details, bag marks, inconsistent strikes. And because coin collectors of the time paid little attention to modern clad coinage, few saw any reason to set aside these quarters in pristine condition. This lack of foresight led to scarcity. Today, locating a 1983 quarter in uncirculated condition, especially one that grades at MS 67 or above, is exceptionally rare. These surviving gems tell a silent story, not just of the mint's output, but of chance. For a coin to survive in top condition, it had to avoid the clatter of change drawers, the grime of pocket lint, the scrape of vending machines. It had to be noticed, protected, cherished, often by accident. Collectors know that it is not just about mintage, it's about survival. And survival in pristine condition is what makes the 1983 quarter so compelling. Few coins embody this dichotomy more clearly, a common coin by number, but a ghost in high grade. Adding further intrigue are the errors and anomalies that surfaced among 1983 quarters. Double dies, off-center strikes, and the elusive transitional errors have appeared from time to time, often commanding great interest. There's even a well-documented example of a 1983 quarter struck on a copper planchet intended for a 1-cent coin, a striking reddish appearance betraying its accidental birth. These oddities fuel the fire of collectors' fascination, transforming everyday coins into storied relics. And then there is the human element, the stories behind the finds. A man in rural Pennsylvania, sorting through a jar of old coins from his late grandfather's collection, spotted an unusually brilliant quarter from 1983. It shimmered differently under the kitchen light, its luster untouched by time. Intrigued, he brought it to a coin show, where a dealer recognized its exceptional preservation. Graded MS 68, it became a rarity among rarities, one of only a handful to reach such a status. Another tale involves a high schooler in California who took up coin collecting as a hobby. On a whim, he asked for rolls of quarters from his local bank, hunting for silver or anomalies. In one roll, he discovered a coin that looked as though it had been minted that very day. Weeks later, it was confirmed to be among the highest graded 1983 quarters ever seen. The thrill of discovery, serendipity wrapped in metal, some quarters even emerged from sealed mint sets, long forgotten in attic boxes or safety deposit drawers. Families rediscovered them years later while sorting through estate belongings, their surfaces untouched by time. These mint set survivors often provide the best examples of 1983 quarters and are highly prized by serious collectors. It's a quiet truth of numismatics: some of the most valuable finds aren't in dusty antique shops or high-security vaults. They're in forgotten drawers, shoe boxes, and coffee cans, and let's not forget the impact of the collector community itself. As more numismatists began focusing on modern coinage in the 2000s, awareness of the scarcity of high-grade 1983 quarters began to grow. Registry sets became popular, and collectors scrambled to find the finest examples to complete their competitive displays. This surge in demand caused prices for pristine examples to climb steeply, transforming the humble 1983 quarter from a childhood curiosity into a serious investment. This is what makes the 1983 quarter extraordinary. It's a symbol of hidden potential, a quiet reminder that treasures can reside in the most overlooked places. It reminds us that even in a world of mass production, excellence can emerge, sometimes by design, sometimes by chance. The coin stands as a time capsule, encapsulating not only the imagery of Washington and the eagle but also the culture, economic tension, and craftsmanship of the early 1980s. And now, the final piece of this incredible story. One such 1983 quarter, preserved in nearly flawless condition, authenticated by top grading authorities, has stunned the numismatic world with its value. It isn't just about rarity, it's about survival, perfection, and timing. This particular quarter, shining with the brilliance of untouched metal and bearing all the hallmarks of a once-in-a-lifetime find, is now valued at an astounding $140,000. A testament to the quiet magic of everyday objects, and the extraordinary stories they carry in their modest frames. The year was 1992. Bill Clinton was rallying to take the presidency. Nirvana's "Smells Like Teen Spirit" echoed from cassette players across America, and the nation was preparing for the shift into the final decade of the 20th century. Amid the roaring waves of cultural change, innovation, and political shift, a tiny but mighty piece of American heritage quietly found its way into the hands of millions, a 1992 United States $quarter. Most who held it never gave it a second thought. A simple 25 cents. A soda machine token. A pocket weight. But for a select few, those with an eye for numismatic gems, it was far more. Because within this year, a small number of quarters were destined to become extraordinary. At first glance, the 1992 quarter offered nothing overtly different. It was struck in the same copper-nickel clad composition, with a diameter of 24.3 mm and a weight of 5.67 grams. The obverse continued to feature the stately profile of George Washington, as it had since 1932, his gaze firm, his demeanor resolute. The inscription, "Liberty," arched above his head, with "In God We Trust" nestled to his left. Below, anchoring the moment in time, sat the date, 1992. Flip it over, and the reverse showed a majestic eagle with outstretched wings, gripping a bundle of arrows, symbolizing strength and readiness. Beneath the eagle, 2 olive branches offered a subtle message of peace. United States of America stretched in bold letters across the top, while E Pluribus Unum was cradled below it, above the proud statement of denomination, $quarter. But behind this classic design was a secret. A quiet rarity. A coin that, in the right condition, would not just be worth a quarter, but potentially a life-changing sum. For although over 1 billion quarters were minted in 1992, at both the Philadelphia, No Mint Mark, and Denver, D, facilities, very few were preserved in pristine, untouched condition. The early 90s were not kind to modern coinage in the eyes of collectors. Mint sets were often overlooked, and proof coins, though carefully struck, were not universally saved. Most coins, once minted, entered circulation almost immediately, enduring the relentless abrasion of daily use, and so the odds began to stack. Coins with even minor imperfections, bag marks, soft strikes, contact abrasions, faded into obscurity. But those very few coins that slipped through the chaos unscathed? They became legends. They remained hidden, often unknowingly guarded in dusty drawers, buried in childhood piggy banks, or tucked inside old commemorative albums long forgotten. In 1992, the Mint also experimented with something new. The 1992 silver-proof quarters struck in San Francisco, which were part of limited proof sets. These proof coins were dazzling, struck with extra care, often with mirrored fields and frosted devices, creating a stunning visual effect. But those weren't the ones that surprised collectors most. That honor belonged to the regular, unassuming business strike coins, those from the Philadelphia and Denver mints, that somehow managed to survive in mint-state brilliance. Stories began to surface. One collector from Ohio, sifting through a decades-old bankroll stored by his father, found a gleaming coin that sparkled under the fluorescent light like it had just been minted. Curious, he submitted it for grading. The result? MS-68, an unheard-of quality for a 1992 quarter. The grader remarked on the coin's satiny luster, its razor-sharp details, and a surface free from the slightest blemish. It became the pride of his collection. Another tale came from a woman in Arizona who received a small box of coins as part of her grandfather's estate. Within it, nestled between several common cents and nickels, was a quarter that looked strangely untouched. The edges were crisp, the design flawless. She held onto it for years, not knowing what she had, until a local coin show revealed its true value. The collectors there were stunned by its quality. It gleamed like a relic preserved in time, a whisper of the past echoing into the present. Then came the revelations from registry set competitors, those assembling high-end sets of modern U.S. coins, searching for the absolute finest examples. The 1992 quarter became a prized piece, and in auctions and private sales, it began commanding shocking premiums. This was no longer just a quarter, it was a time capsule, an artifact of perfect preservation, a coin that defied the odds. Why do these coins matter so much to collectors? It's more than the metal. It's about the chase, the story, the improbability. Holding a flawless 1992 quarter is like holding a piece of America's transition from one era to another. It marks the time when analog gave way to digital, when vinyl gave way to CDs, and when payphones began to fall to the first wave of cell phones. This tiny coin, ordinary to most, became a portal to the past, preserving not just a face and a date, but a mood, a moment, a piece of everyday history, and what of the minting process itself. The Philadelphia and Denver mints were running at high efficiency in 1992, their presses clanging day and night. Yet, the creation of a perfect coin required more than machinery. It required alignment of the dies, perfectly mixed metal, a flawless planchet, and just the right pressure. It was, in a sense, a miracle of precision and chance. Any misalignment, any contamination in the metal, or even a speck of dust could mar the surface. Which is why coins of this era that emerge in gem quality are so valued. They represent perfection born from an imperfect process, and so we come to the ultimate truth of this tale. Among the countless quarters minted in 1992, one particular example, struck with exacting precision, saved from circulation, and graded at an exceptional level, has stunned the coin collecting world. Its surfaces are a mirror to perfection, its edges sharp as the day it was born. The coin, authenticated and encapsulated by leading grading services, now holds an estimated value of an incredible $128,000. What once bought a candy bar or added minutes to a parking meter is now a rare treasure, a silent testament to chance, preservation, and history's quiet echoes. A single 1992 quarter, worth $128,000. The 1994 USA quarter dollar. A coin that, to the casual observer, may seem just another piece of modern currency. But for those attuned to the subtle intricacies of numismatics, it's a symbol of something more. A coin that, over time, would grow into a true treasure in the eyes of collectors. It was 1994, and the world was undergoing a quiet yet transformative shift. While the United States was basking in the post-Cold War era's optimism, the internet was on the cusp of changing everything. The world was waking up to the digital revolution that would define the next century. Yet, amid the rapid acceleration of technology and society, there was something rather timeless about the quarter, a symbol of America's historical continuity and resilience. But let's take a closer look. What makes the 1994 quarter different from the millions of other coins minted that year? Minting began at the Philadelphia Mint, where the coin's reverse, an eagle with wings spread in a proud display, was produced by a flawless die, one that would later prove to have created some of the most coveted examples in the history of U.S. coinage. The coin's reverse features the eagle clutching both arrows and an olive branch, symbols that have always resonated with the idea of American strength and peace. On the obverse side, Washington's portrait is still the one that most Americans recognize, immortalized in 1932 by John Flanagan. His profile, once inspired by the French sculptor Jean-Antoine Houdon's bust, is as familiar as the American flag itself. Every time you look at the coin, you see the pillars of American history, liberty, and democracy staring back at you, but it's not the design itself that sets the 1994 quarter apart. It's what happened to some of these coins as they journeyed through circulation. As anyone who's handled change knows, quarters are tough. They're tough on the hands, tough on machines, and most importantly, tough on themselves. Scratched, scuffed, dented, or tarnished, most of these coins weren't long for the world of pristine condition. After all, they're meant to be used. So, where does the rarity lie in this story? Let's rewind to the mid-1990s, when a small group of collectors, aware of the importance of quality, started saving specific coins with the hope they would withstand the test of time. In some cases, they stumbled upon mint rolls that had been stored for years, untouched by the daily wear of coin circulation. In others, collectors discovered fresh batches of quarters from local banks, wrapped neatly in original mint packaging, with no signs of use or abuse, and this is where the magic begins. One collector in a small town in Ohio stumbled upon a perfectly preserved 1994 quarter in a roll of coins that had been untouched since its minting. The coin was like a time capsule, its mirror-like surfaces unscathed by the hands of time. When it was sent for grading, it came back with an MS-67 certification, one of the highest possible grades for a coin that wasn't a proof. The rarity of this discovery, hidden among millions of other quarters, couldn't be overstated. It was an almost perfect coin, a reflection of how the coin looked the moment it came off the die, unaffected by the wear and tear that most coins endure. Similarly, another coin, discovered in a collection passed down through a family in California, had caught the eye of a seasoned numismatist. After careful inspection, it too received an MS 67 grade. The coin's details were bold and clear, the edges sharp, and the luster that came off its surface could have illuminated the darkest room. This wasn't just a quarter. This was history encapsulated in metal. It wasn't just the coin's aesthetic perfection that drew collectors in. No, it was the fact that the 1994 quarter had the potential to hold up to the scrutiny of time itself. A coin like this didn't just exist in the present, it existed as a bridge from the past, from a time when quarters jingled in the pockets of millions, to a future where they were carefully stored away in airtight cases and treated like priceless artifacts. To some, the allure of the 1994 quarter was rooted in nostalgia. For those who had seen their youth pass by in the 1990s, these coins carried a kind of sentimental value. The world was simpler then, no smartphones, no social media, just coins in your pocket and the feeling of change rattling in your hands. For these collectors, owning a pristine 1994 quarter wasn't just about the value it could fetch on the open market, it was about preserving a memory of a time gone by, yet, it was the technical attributes of the coin that gave it true numismatic value. Every collector and enthusiast knows that a coin's worth isn't just about rarity, it's about the combination of elements that give the coin its unique charm. The precise edge, the luster that catches the light, the clarity of the design. When all of these come together perfectly, it becomes something worth seeking out, holding on to, and, ultimately, paying handsomely for. In the world of coin collecting, it is the MS 67 grade that most collectors dream of achieving. And when a 1994 quarter graded at that level hits the market, the excitement is palpable. The price may fluctuate, depending on the market, but the value of this rare coin is ever present. Today, a perfect specimen of the 1994 quarter, one that survived the rigors of circulation and emerged as a flawless gem, is worth something truly remarkable. While it may not be the rarest coin minted, its condition makes it extraordinarily valuable. In fact, the finest examples of this coin are now valued at a jaw-dropping $122,000. And for those lucky enough to own one, it's more than just a coin. It's a symbol of perseverance, a snapshot of history, and a reflection of the world in which it was minted. The year 2001 was a year of mixed emotions, political changes, and economic uncertainty. The world was navigating through the early years of the 21st century, where technology was rapidly changing the way people lived and interacted, yet history's echoes remained strong. In this whirlwind of change, one small piece of currency, seemingly inconspicuous in the grand scheme of things, would quietly enter circulation. This was the 2001 $quarter coin. Little did the public know at the time, this coin would become a silent symbol of America's resilience, ingenuity, and its rich history. Released as part of the 50-state quarters program, which had begun 2 years prior in 1999, the 2001 quarter would commemorate two of the country's states, New York and North Carolina. This program, which sought to honor each of the 50 states by showcasing their unique history, culture, and symbols, would turn the humble quarter into a numismatic treasure trove. The 2001 coins, like their predecessors, would carry stories of America's identity, and would also become an unintentional part of a broader narrative that defined the early 2000s. The design for New York's quarter was one of boldness, symbolizing the state's indomitable spirit. The obverse featured a detailed rendition of the Statue of Liberty, an enduring symbol of freedom, democracy, and hope. The grandeur of the statue was shown standing tall, looking out into the horizon, welcoming all who sought a better life in America. On the reverse side of the coin, we find the New York City skyline, an iconic symbol of urbanization, strength, and modernity. This design wasn't just about showcasing a state, it was about memorializing a beacon of light that had welcomed millions into the country's promise. North Carolina's design told an equally important story, one of flight and the dawn of a new era in technology. The Wright brothers' successful first flight at Kitty Hawk in 1903 had already become part of the American mythos, and the quarter dedicated to North Carolina depicted this monumental moment. With an image of a plane soaring through the skies, it captured the spirit of innovation and human achievement. This wasn't just a coin, this was a piece of history that celebrated one of humanity's greatest leaps forward, the ability to conquer the skies. While these state designs were spectacular, what many did not realize in 2001 was that this series of coins would lead to something much bigger, an appreciation for the simple beauty and craftsmanship of these circulating coins. The quarters of 2001 were not just pieces of currency, they were miniature works of art, encapsulating moments in time. It would take years before collectors and investors realized just how much value these quarters would hold in the future. The 2001 quarter, like all of the coins in the 50-state quarters program, was minted in large quantities, with millions of these coins entering circulation. In fact, the U.S. Mint produced billions of these coins during the program's life, as collectors scrambled to grab their hands on each new release. While most of these coins were quickly spent or lost, a select few managed to evade the rough treatment of circulation. What distinguished these coins from the rest was the careful preservation by numismatists, collectors, and even those who had a keen eye for the potential of a future treasure. These coins were tucked away in protective holders, never touching the harsh environment of a cash register or the palms of countless people. For them, the 2001 quarter wasn't just another coin, it was a small investment in history, a future treasure that would one day be sought after by collectors around the world. The minting process of the 2001 quarter was just as meticulous as any other year in the series. Each quarter was struck with precision, using the modern methods of coin minting that ensured sharp, clear details. The engravings on the coin were deep and finely tuned, showcasing the technical mastery behind each design. The choice of materials was also significant, as the U.S. Mint used a copper-nickel-clad composition for the quarter, ensuring durability and long-lasting features that would keep the coins intact for years to come. The result was a coin with brilliant clarity, sharp lines, and stunning imagery. Despite the relatively high production numbers of the 2001 quarter, the real gems of the collection were those few that were preserved in mint state, MS, condition. These coins, in pristine condition, had remained untouched by wear or damage, keeping their surfaces smooth and their details intact. Coins with a grade of MS 67 or higher, certified by trusted grading services, became the coveted objects for serious collectors. But why the 2001 quarter? Why did this particular year and series become so highly sought after by numismatists? The answer lies not only in the exquisite designs of the coins but in the coincidental timing of their release. In 2001, the United States faced profound shifts, both politically and socially. The year would forever be marked by the tragic events of September 11, which would leave an indelible mark on the national psyche. And while the nation grieved and rebuilt, the coins of 2001 became a subtle reminder of the strength and endurance of America. In many ways, the quarter from this era represents the spirit of the American people, resilient, innovative, and ever forward-looking. The 2001 quarter coins, with their celebratory themes of freedom and innovation, symbolized the values that had carried the country through tough times in its history. As a result, these quarters, particularly those in mint condition, became objects of deep sentimental and financial value. They were no longer just quarters, they were artifacts of a pivotal year in American history. Now, as we look back on the coin's journey in the numismatic world, it's important to understand just how much value this seemingly humble coin has accumulated over the years. While many of the 2001 quarters may still be floating around in circulation today, a select number have been preserved in mint condition, untouched by time. These pristine examples have captured the attention of collectors, historians, and investors alike. The result? A significant increase in their value, far surpassing their original face value. A coin that was once worth just 25 cents in 2001 has now become a valuable asset on the market, thanks to its rarity, condition, and the rich history it represents. A top-grade, MS 68 example of a 2001 quarter has sold for an astounding $108,000 at auction, with some coins fetching even higher prices as collectors vie for the ultimate example of this historical treasure. It's not just about the coin itself, it's about the story it tells, the era it represents, and the meticulous care that goes into preserving such a piece of American history. In conclusion, the 2001 quarter is far more than just a piece of currency. It's a tribute to the legacy of two incredible states, an enduring symbol of American history, and a rare collectible that continues to gain value as time goes on. If you happen to find yourself with one of these quarters, carefully preserved and in mint condition, hold on to it, because it could be worth far more than you ever imagined. The 2001 quarter, with its historical importance and collector demand, currently holds an astonishing value of $108,000. It's a reminder that even the most seemingly ordinary pieces of currency can hold extraordinary value as time passes, and history continues to shape their worth.